Hello friends, welcome back. I'm Beth, here to help you fulfill your potential in meditation. As most of you know, I don't have just one method that I teach to everybody, like one size fits all. Instead, I much prefer to teach people one-on-one. And the reason is that you're all different. So please use these videos as a guideline, and if there's anything that isn't quite working for you or anything that doesn't quite fit, then be in touch and I'll be more than happy to discuss those things with you one-on-one. Today's video is about overcoming nikanti in our vipassana practice. Now, nikanti is usually translated as delight, and it is a subtle form of craving or clinging that can persist in our vipassana practice. As our vipassana practice deepens, we might notice that some types of defilements can be very sticky, they can be very persistent, and this nikanti is one of those defilements that can be really sticky and persistent as our practice deepens. Some ways that it might manifest is as a delight, for example, in the clarity of mind in our vipassana practice. Oh, how wonderful, my mind feels so clear. Or, oh, how delightful this really sharp wisdom that's arising. Or how delightful this deep equanimity. And so, if we notice that nikanti, that delight, persisting in our vipassana practice, it's important that we practice in a way that targets and overcomes that defilement. Now, we could say that any kind of vipassana practice that we do will at least in part help to overcome this nikanti, because as we continue to contemplate things as anicca, dukkha, anatta, impermanent, suffering, non-self, there's less and less space for that nikanti to arise. But in the Pali text, we also find the recommendation that if we want to overcome nikanti, we should emphasize cultivating the perception of dukkha, of suffering. Now, there are some different ways that we can do that, but the two most powerful ways are by cultivating what we call dukkha to and asubha to. I've made separate videos on both of those practices, so if you haven't done so already, I'd suggest you go away, watch those videos and do those practices so that we can overcome nikanti in our vipassana practice. Another thing that we can do is practice vipassana on the nikanti itself. So that nikanti, that delight, doesn't arise out of nowhere. It arises as a mental process. So when we see that defilement arise, we can find the mental process and we can practice vipassana on that, emphasizing the characteristic of dukkha, suffering. We can also practice vipassana on whatever it is we're delighting in. So let's say we're delighting in the wisdom that arises in the practice. We can practice vipassana on that wisdom. Again, emphasizing the characteristic of dukkha, suffering. So that's what I have to say today about overcoming this defilement of nikanti in our vipassana practice. It's a very, very important defilement to overcome if we want to attain nibbana. So if there's anything that's unclear to you or anything you're unsure of, then be in touch with me and I'll be more than happy to discuss the details with you one-on-one. But for now, it's time to get off of those screens, get onto the cushions and actually do the practice. There's a remainderless ending of all suffering, so let's not waste time, let's actually do the practice. As most of you know, I do all of my work on a donation basis. So I encourage you to support me either through Patreon or through my website so that I can continue to make these videos. Thank you so much for your support. Wishing you the best with your meditation.